All right, what's going on out there, guys? Sorry, kind of a long intro right there, but I had to throw on, I had to do something real quick. So, anyways, what's going on with you guys out there? We got government shutdown. We've got the Nepal government getting overthrown, and we have the Saudi Arabian Cawmedy show to talk about. Now, I'm going to start with the Saudi Arabian Cawmedy show because I don't know about you guys, but if there's one group of humans on this planet that I'm sick of, and there's a bunch, to be perfectly honest with you, sick of Antifa out in Portland, wherever they are, just causing problems, living in their own filth, whatever it is they do out there for fun, have gangbangs and pay homeless people to get drunk on the side of the road, politicians, some of the most useless people on the planet. But, well, actually, they're all kind of lumped together. We're going to talk about Cawmedy. So, I don't know how long you guys have been with me. I have a remarkable showing, an internet presence. After 5 years on YouTube, I have however many subs I have, maybe 1,000. I don't know, I never monetized it, and I don't really care that much. Because I have a good time doing what I'm doing. But what led me kind of to the internet was, for a while, and just realized I was on all sorts of VA pharmaceuticals at the time, so I might not have been thinking like a normal human. I started doing stand-up comedy. And let me tell you why I left stand-up. Number one, it was getting off of the pharmaceutical drugs. It's not the biggest reason. The biggest reason I left stand-up is because of the comedians. Now, I don't know what number to assign to it, but I would say of all the people I met doing stand-up, 4 out of 10 of them were probably cool, like normal people that just wanted to try it. And I will say, I was only doing open mics, so there's a lot of mental illness in the open mic scene. I mean, literally, one night a guy showed up at the Flying Boat in St. Pete. And we're all outside. I went up, did my shit. We're outside, we're talking. And this guy comes in and he's wearing like a hospital gown. He had just gotten out of the hospital R-Wing unit. And he was sitting there talking about how he wants to fight Mike Tyson or a gorilla one day. And I was like, all right, I can't be around this. Walked off. So there's a lot of that in the stand-up community, right? But COVID hit. I started doing YouTube. My shitty live streams developed over time. I don't want to disappoint maybe the grand total of 25 people that will listen to my live streams anyways. So I kind of left. But it was during COVID that the stand-up community became the most insufferable group of cunts outside of standard Hollywood. And I would even argue that most of them in stand-up comedy are actually just part of Hollywood. Like, that would be my argument. You look at your Bill Burrs, you look at your Dave Chappelle's, they're the machines. And all of these guys, they get up there, they pretend to be some sort of rebel, speaking truth to power. But again, it's all about the money. I probably will never listen to Dave Chappelle again, or pretty much any of the comedians that went over to Saudi Arabia. And it's not because they went to Saudi Arabia. Look, if you're a comedian and you're pretty middle of the road and you hit everybody and, you're criticizing both sides of the aisle, or maybe your comedy isn't really about politics, imagine that. Whatever. If you're not out there lecturing the public about how virtuous you are, I have zero problem with any comedian going over to Saudi Arabia and cashing that check. But what I do have a problem with is these comedians that shit all over America, talk about how this is a fascistic country, and then they go over to Saudi Arabia where they have literal slaves and take their slave money over there. Dave Chappelle, everybody's, he's the modern Mark Twain. To be honest with you, I haven't really found Chappelle to be all that funny since the Chappelle Show. I don't think Dave Chappelle is that funny up on stage. I think most of these guys that are comedians, okay, most of them now, if you put their brain in a different body and then transported them back to the stand-up comedy scene, I don't think they could become professional comedians. Here, let's do a test. Tell me which Chappelle special you think is so rip-roaringly funny. And then I'm going to ask you a simple question about all these comedians. Take whatever comedian, whether it be Chappelle, Burr, whatever one, and take whatever comedy special they had. And I want you to think about what you laughed harder at. Some random stupid conversation that you had with a friend or a loved one, or this comedy special. I'll wait. Because to me, it's not even a contest. I have had way funnier conversations just hanging out with a group of buddies. Sometimes I haven't even been involved in the conversation. And I'm just sitting there and we're all dying, laughing harder than we've laughed at anything because the conversation is just so absurd and we're all comfortable around each other. Now, I can't imagine I'm the only one that has had said conversation. Yet, these comedians keep telling us they're the funny, creative ones. Can anybody tell me the last time Tom Segura said anything funny? How about Bert Kreischer? How about Whitney Cummings? Whitney fucking Cummings. The ultimate wokearista out there in LA with her cool celebrity friends who gets up on stage. Let's see if we can find Whitney Cummings. Trailer. Let me see if I can. I'm going to put this up. Oh, get ready, guys. Get ready. I know you're going to want to watch this. This is going to be uproarious laughter. Whitney Cummings. Whitney Cummings, the master comedian. Let's see this. Let's see the trailer.
My good friend and yours, Whitney Cummings.
Yeah, there's a documentary I need you to watch immediately. Why are you complaining about this miracle in your living room? Turn this on. sucking this dick.
That is a move that's illegal in the NFL. I would like a Big Beaver magazine, please.
I paid $74 for this bullshit.
We put it on our face. We can create down to the spelling bee. I'm on the moon. It's like two crocodile eyes coming out of a pond. God! No! Should we just get in the van with that guy? I feel like that was good. Can I have my ring, please? She doesn't get it.
Oh my God. Masterpiece. There is at no point any of you that are listening to my podcast or me or anybody could come up with brilliant jokes like that. Right? Okay. Again, these are the same people that get there up on stage, and instead of being funny, they want to lecture. Tim Dillon is good. I will say that. No, he wasn't. He actually got kicked off of the tour because he had made jokes about Saudi Arabia having slaves, and they said, so it gets even better. So remember all of these comedians like Bill Burr, the wokearista, with his lovely wife. You know, it's not like that woman doesn't have TDS coming out of her wherever you want to say it's coming out of. But they had to sign a document that said that they wouldn't make fun of the royal family. They wouldn't make fun of the religion of Islam. So they had all these carve-outs already in the contract that these comedians signed. Now, Dave Chappelle would have us know that he walked away from $50 million because of creative differences with whatever staff on the Chappelle show. So he walks away from $50 million and he wants to be the original, you know, the virtuous one. But yet he'll take $1.3 million to go over to Saudi Arabia to tell his unfunny set. You know, these people are the most insufferable group of fucking theater kid hypocrites on the planet. Whitney Cummings is out in LA. She's totally part of the scene. You know, she created that show Two Broke Girls or whatever it was, which apparently what passes for comedy today is two girls in their 20s talking about fucking in every episode of the sitcom. Like Whitney Cummings, 90% of her fucking act is just her sitting around talking about sex or her pussy or something like that. She has, I would bet a substantial amount of money that Whitney Cummings does not have an internal monologue. I would actually put out a large amount, I would bet a large amount of money that very few stand-up comedians actually have an internal monologue. Again, this is experience. I've been around working comedians down in the St. Pete, Tampa Bay area, and let me just tell you something. They're a bunch of narcissists. I would say a good portion of them are narcissists. They get up there, they tell an unfunny joke, it's always about sex, they get a few giggles, they come off stage, and then they sit around talking about their jokes with other comedians. Wow, we're going to stand around and talk shop about your joke. Maybe if you added this or maybe if you added that, it would actually be a funnier joke. And half the time, when you're sitting there and you're looking at this comedian who's going over your jokes, you're like, motherfucker, I got laughs and nobody even giggled at your dumb jokes about old people having sex up in Ocala. Yes, this is a joke. This is a joke I heard from a working comedian with TDS where she was up there and she goes, yeah, I was up in Ocala and I went into my grandma's house and Mimi's got a mirror on the ceiling. And she goes, yeah, this is a bed meant for fucking. And I'm like, really? Really? That's what this person is talking about? But yeah, I don't get it. I don't know if any comedian has cratered as hard as Bill Burr. I have zero. Well, you should have zero respect for Bill Burr. And dude, this is what I think Bill Burr's career path really was. Convince people that are on the right side of the political aisle that he's one of them, or at least he's sympathetic, but he's not. His wife broke his brain. That's what happened. Bill Burr is a progressive from Boston. You saw that dude melt down when COVID happened. He's on whatever, was it Jimmy Fallon or Jimmy Kimmel's show? I'm kind of out of the loop. He was on one of their shows and he was talking about Free Luigi, a man who shot another man in the back for no reason. So yeah, it's like Bill Burr just became part of the Hollywood machine. And personally, I said this from the beginning. I think what happened with stand-up comedy is, number one, you had Rogan out there, and he was saying everybody should try stand-up comedy. So everybody's going to go up there. I don't think Rogan is the worst comedian out there. There's a lot of people on the internet that would say that he's hot garbage. I don't think Rogan is hot garbage. I mean, yeah, he yells, he humps stools. Okay. But at least when Rogan tells a joke, I can tell it's uniquely to Rogan if he's not lifting from Brendan Schaub. You know, I don't know what happened with that, but whatever. But Rogan started his podcast. It got huge. Everybody's got super into stand-up comedy. There were the lockdowns. Nobody knew what was going on. They turned to social media. And then all these comedians had podcasts. People had seen these people on Rogan's podcast. It helped blow them up. And I think you're in a stand-up comedy bubble. But I also think there's a reckoning coming for a lot of these big-name comedians. Again, I go back to it. Tell me in the comments. I know there's only 6 people. Whatever. But if you watch this later, tell me what comedy special that you've watched as of late that you were just sitting there, just busting out laughing. What one? On Netflix. I mean, there was that weird lesbian chick from Australia who had her, like, it was some of the worst things I've ever seen. And I'm like, I don't know if stand-up comedy is dead or it's what just gets on Netflix and what gets the most attention because of the names behind them. But again, for the most part, I think, again, all right, let me restate this. If you go back a week and we were talking a little bit about the digital ID at the end of one of my streams. I was talking about what I believe is going on and why governments are trying to crack down on any speech that doesn't reaffirm the liberal economic order narrative. And that is, the old media model is dying. And the system is desperately trying to prop it up. That's why you're getting things like digital ID. Digital ID, what it really is, no, the government doesn't want to protect you. What they really want is obedient tax donkeys. That's what they want. We'll decide how to spend your money. You know, you just go to work. Don't complain about the things we do. You look at the UK. Tony Blair has wanted the digital ID forever. it gets into problems, though. You're not going to tell me I have to carry a cell phone everywhere I go. You're not even going to tell me that if I want to go for a walk outside my house, and I'm just walking, cop pulls up. Hey, what are you doing? Just going for a walk. You got ID on you? No, because I'm going for a walk. We need to keep ID on you. No, I don't. Okay? I'm not going to carry my cell phone around for a digital ID. Plus, I'm not putting government apps on my phone so they can surveil me. If that's what I absolutely have to do, I'll have two phones. One will have my digital ID app on it, and I won't use it for anything other than that. And the other one will be my actually daily carry. So, but the old media model, 20th century media model, hey, this guy, he's a part of the Hollywood machine. We're going to hype him. We're going to, push his special. We'll get him into a few movies. We're going to make this guy a massive star. That was actually the old media model. Now, people snuck through, but then they got brought in to that machine. So it's like, you go to Hollywood, whatever. You've seen the machine push certain people. For a while, there was this actor named Jai Courtney, or something like that. He's an Australian guy, and you would just see him in every movie, and you could tell that was the machine pushing him. Social media comes along, and things are different now. You go back 20 years ago, and the only time you saw your favorite comedian, or you saw a politician, or you saw an actor, or you saw basically any famous person, was in a softball interview. So, if you're going to be this mysterious celebrity, if you're going to be a celebrity, you kind of have to have some mystery to you. Tom Cruise still excels at this. He's not out there putting himself on social media other than to promote a movie. He's always smiling. He's always acting like a good guy. Whatever. I don't know, whatever creepy shit he does with Scientology. I don't really care at the end of the day. What I don't want my entertainers doing is lecturing me about everything and calling me, oh, it's fascistic. Dude, the fuck out of here with it. You guys have to get a new word. Nobody cares about being called a fascist or a white supremacist now that you're calling black guys on the right white supremacists. Nobody cares. Nobody cares about your insults. What it does is it annoys you to the point where you don't want to listen to that person. I shouldn't say they don't care. What I should say is it's not going to change anybody's mind. Jay, you got to stop being so pro-Second Amendment. That's kind of fascistic. I don't give a fuck. Right? I don't care what you call me at this point. It's just childish name calling. But these celebrities, the comedians, they're all over social media, and what happens is you as a person begin to see the human cracks. This is the problem with too much media exposure, and it is actually what's destroying the machine. Only the people aren't. I think the people behind the scenes know what's going on, but I think there's a financial interest. I think there's people behind the scenes going, hey, you got to put this on TikTok or whatever you have to put it on. They say, oh, this is what everybody does now. But all it's doing is exposing you to the fact where you go, yeah, why would I listen to any of these, like AOC's out there? Oh, I'm going to be president. The only people that listen to AOC are dumb people. That's it. Nobody else cares what AOC thinks. But she's constantly on social media, so you as the person sitting at home, you begin to go, oh, this person takes a shit. This person isn't funny. This person is flawed. And it's the same thing with these narcissistic comedians. It's run its course. It's in a bubble. There's going to be a stock market crash. Once that happens, I think stand-up comedy is going to get cleared out. Why do I think that? Stock market comes, the wealth effect goes away. You're not looking at your 401k going, oh, 3 years ago I had 100k in there. Now I got 400. You know, we're going to buy those tickets to go see the comedy show. That's just what's going to happen. And I think a lot of these comedians that went on the Saudi tour inadvertently destroyed any credibility that they had. Yeah, I'm going to listen to Dave Chappelle again about how racist and bad this country is after he goes to a country where they literally have slaves, and he talks about how he doesn't feel he has freedom of speech in America, but signed a contract that said he wouldn't criticize whatever that Saudi prince is who cut up that reporter with a freaking hacksaw in a hotel in Turkey. So, yeah, I don't know. I just had to get that off my chest, how absolutely tired I am of these pseudo-celebrities, these fucking comedians, thinking that they're actually funny people. I don't think Bill Burr is funny. Sorry. I think he used to be kind of funny, but I don't really find any of these comedians funny. And I don't know, maybe I'm turning into a curmudgeon, but I honestly laugh more at work with the people I work with than I do at any of these comedy specials. I already commented on that. Tim Dillon got kicked off in the most hilarious fashion. He's like, I was defending slavery. You know what I mean? And it's like, yeah, I mean, that's all you should really do. Is like, just make fun of the world. But, again, I'm going to hate on America. The only feel... Nikki's funny. Nikki's funny in roasts. I don't find her actual... I don't find her actual stand-up that funny. I do think she's a really good roaster, and she should lean into that. But again, Nikki Glaser is the same thing as the other comedians I was talking about. They're Hollywood, they're plastic, they're fake, they're not real people. They're, like, what we're actually witnessing right now, in my opinion, obviously, but I need to state that. So people aren't like, oh, you're trying to throw this out as fact. No. I think we're witnessing the death of celebrity. I just don't think it's sustainable. Again, I think it's going to turn into a crash and burn. AI is coming in a form where one of the applications I believe AI is got what one industry I believe it's going to decimate is acting. So you're going to have a guy at a certain point when this tool becomes powerful enough. And you guys know I'm not an AI nut rider. I tell you what it is. But there are certain areas where I think it's going to change the world. Much like the internet changed the world in ways we couldn't anticipate. Nobody thought they'd have social media. You couldn't have anticipated YouTube in 1996. Movies. You don't have to take the risk. If you have AI generate the actors within it, you don't have to take the risk that, say, your star, like Rachel Zegler, goes out and destroys a $400 million movie because of the dumb shit that she wants to say on the red carpet. And I have defended Rachel Zegler in the past. And I'll continue to defend Rachel Zegler. Imagine, for a second, you grew up as a theater kid. And then you do one movie, you haven't had the time to go to the media classes. learn the appropriate way to communicate on the red carpet, all of that jazz. Become more refined and sophisticated. And you're 22 years old, even though you look like, you're a herbivore because your eyes are on the side of your head, you get a role as Snow White. And then people are saying, oh, you need to be an activist on top of being a celebrity. And she goes out there, says the dumbest shit possible, destroys the movie. It is what it is. You have to worry about that. If you're a guy, and imagine this, Hollywood tells you they're the creatives. When was the last time Hollywood did anything creative? I mean, what is that new movie with Leonardo DiCaprio? What is it? Every Battle or... I'm sick of this motherfucker too. I hope this guy goes away. What was he in? One Battle After Another. This recent piece of shit from this director out that, like, the only people that like Paul Thomas Anderson's movies are in, and I like one or two, but the only people that bring that dude up are cinemaphiles. That's who he makes movies for. But One Battle After Another about, a bunch of left-wing lunatics. Okay, that's what Hollywood's putting out. But now imagine, get a really creative human, gets the AI tools, and he would just upload movies to his YouTube channel. It's going to destroy Hollywood. Hollywood's done. Celebrity is done. Again, why do you want to listen to any of these people? They just regurgitate the shit that their studio tells them to say. None of them are smarter than... Does anybody... Let me ask a real question. Come across this podcast later. Whatever. You're in the comments now. Think Leonardo DiCaprio is a really smart guy? I don't know. Doesn't seem like any smarter or dumber than a lot of the people I know just working normal jobs. How about George Clooney? George Clooney seemed like some super genius that needs to be out there being a smug prick everywhere he goes, telling people how to live and what to think, writing New York Times articles about politics. Does anybody think that guy's, the bee's knees, the cat's meow? Yeah. Just my main point. None of these celebrities are funnier or smarter than you are at home. In fact, the people that watch my podcast, I think they're probably way funnier than a lot of these so-called comedians in real life. So, I mean, you just look at it, it's just not sustainable. I don't believe it is. I think the whole media model is going to collapse. But yeah, Jimmy Carr, oh, dude. I think Jimmy Carr, he thinks he's funny because he's offensive. Like a middle schooler thinking he's tough because he learned how to curse. That might be the most accurate description of Jimmy Carr. And he was on the Saudi Arabia. He went to Saudi Arabia. And Jimmy Carr, again, like a lot of these comedians, a lot of the comedians that are sitting there talking about their regular guy bona fides, most of them come from either wealthy or upper middle class families. Think about it like this. Who's going to have connections to make it in a business? Who's going to be able to, not really work that hard, sleep on couches, call their daddy for some money? Tom Segura is a rich kid's son. So is Bert Kreischer. So are a lot of these guys. Andrew Schultz, I'm pretty sure his family was quite well off. So, I mean, again, Jimmy Carr I know comes from a wealthy family. See, Jimmy Carr. You know what we'll do? We'll look at this up real quick. I'm going to put this on screen. And we're going to use the CIA's favorite tool, Wikipedia, for this. This is not meant to be definitive. Let me point this out about Wikipedia. It is basically a tool of the establishment to reinforce the narrative they want, but it's more or less accurate enough when we're just sitting here talking about what a tool Jimmy Carr is. But yeah, just look at this. Look at this dude with his fake fucking teeth, his fake ass smile. See, he was born in 72, 97. I'm just going to say the most offensive things I can say, whether they're an actual funny joke or not. Oh, there we go. An accountant who became the treasurer for computer company Unisys. I don't know how to say that. Okay. Most of his time, I don't know, are these wealthy areas? Died of pancreatic failure and death. Severely strained. I don't give a fuck. Okay. So, he studied social science and political science. Oh, I know I'm dealing with a rocket scientist. One of the first ways I know, I had to click off of that for a second. One of the first ways I know I'm dealing with a person who doesn't have the sharpest mind and, will sit there and flex on you due to their narcissism, it's political science. I don't know. This degree was invented as an easy fucking degree for the elite's children at Ivy League educational institutes. That's where the political science degree comes from. The elites wanted their kids to be able to go to school to get a degree so that they could then go out into society saying, oh, I have a degree, and they could move through political circles. That's what the political science degree is. That has nothing to do with everything. If it has science at the end of it, it's not science. Like, this fucking degree is useless. I get annoyed with it. And there's a guy who does comedy in Tampa who has a political science degree who thinks he's the smartest human being on the planet. Yeah, okay. Hosting, television, 8 out of 10 cats. Yeah. He's basically an insufferable theater kid. That's what he really is. I mean, look at this guy. I could just look at Jimmy Carr's face and just see the smug, I'm better than you opinion that he has of virtually everybody. Just look at him in this picture. Tell me that picture doesn't tell you that this dude thinks he's better than you. He probably goes around telling people he doesn't take a shit. Yeah. It's the same useless theater kid look that almost all of them have. Just smug, out of shape, skinny and fat at the same time, but yet want to tell you how the world is. Yeah. Again, devoid of soul. Yeah. Fuck this dude. Yeah, whatever. But yeah, I totally agree with this statement. It really is. It's a middle schooler thinking he's a badass now because somebody taught him to say the word fuck on the bus. Chelsea, oh, God. That woman, she might be the absolute worst. See, does she have a special trailer we can watch? Let me see if I can find it. Oh, God. See, I fucking butchered that name. Handler trailer. Netflix trailer. Let's see what this brilliant mind is amusing us with. Let's watch this. When was this? 7 months ago. I'm sure this is brilliant.
Everyone was banging on about pickleball at this point. I blame COVID for pickleball. Right? We didn't have to hear about fucking pickleball before COVID. Pickleball. That is not a subject that I can take seriously. When people bang on and on about pickle, that is not real exercise, okay? So shut the fuck up about it. You would burn more calories shoving an actual pickle up your asshole on a pickleball court than playing a game of pickleball.
Yeah, I don't know. The problem with that joke is that it is actually kind of funny. And it is kind of how I feel about pickleball. But yeah, she's an insufferable liberal out in Hollywood. I mean, most of these actors are theater kids. And theater kids, a lot of times, don't get real feedback from the world. They go out to Hollywood. Like, most theater kids were kids that didn't play sports. I'm not going to say all, because there are, and I think there's probably a lot of really cool actors. I was listening to the interview with Taylor Kitsch, and he seemed like a pretty cool guy. Talked about how he got sick of Hollywood, moved out to Montana. He was on Rogan's podcast recently. Talked about doing Lone Survivor. Seems like a legit dude I could go hunting with. And that's like one of my main problems with a lot of these people is, yeah, you have an extraordinary job. You get a lot of adulation. And, you know, some of it, weak people act badly when they have power. See Ellen DeGeneres. But I never actually... Ellen DeGeneres is another one. I don't know how this woman became famous. I really don't. Oh, yeah. Dude, there is a thing that happens to women uniquely. And all that motherly instinct, all these women who talk about how they're so glad they don't have children because they're now 50 years old and they can just wake up, drink wine, and finger themselves all day. But that energy goes somewhere. And a lot of times it goes into the world around them where they don't know that something's wrong. Now, having children is not for every woman or man. But with men, you don't really see this. But like women, for whatever reason, that same overprotective motherly energy gets transferred on the world. And this is where you get the instinct that comes out of a lot. Oh, we got to make the world safe for everybody. World's not safe. Yeah, dude. It's something that happens to these childless women who want to tell the world how great it is to be single and bang every stranger and then wonder why their life isn't fulfilled. But again, none of them are funny. Like, I could get past a lot of it if they skewered both sides. And you know what? Even if somebody wanted to just hammer people on the right, and you went up there for 45 minutes or an hour, however long your special is, and you're just hammering the right, and it's funny, and it doesn't feel vicious, and you know, you're saying things like, I come up here and make fun of the lefties, but y'all know what happens when you make fun of the lefties. I don't have a bulletproof neck, or I'm just going rote there, but I'm just saying, if you wanted to go up there and say, you're like, I'm making fun of the right-wingers because you're the only group I can make fun of, because you're not a bunch of pussies. and then you go back to it, I would laugh my dick off at it. But it's not. It's a viciousness that these people despise you, that you don't agree with them, because you're interfering with creating the utopia. Oh, I could only imagine Carlin today and his take on the stand-up comedians. And yeah, it is what it is. All your celebrities are for sale. They're not real people. And, I can accept that. Just don't go up there and act like you're the virtuous one up on stage or in interviews. They tell their lame jokes, then go on Rogan and listen to him rave about putting D up a monkey's butt for 3 hours. Pretty much. That's pretty much. When Joe has a comedian, I only listen to Rogan now if he has a guest I'm interested in and there's nothing really else on, because I'm at work. I can just throw it on for like 3 hours, get into the conversation. Again, the last one I listened to was probably an hour of that Taylor Kitsch guy, or Tyler, whatever it is. Taylor or Tyler, I don't know. I listened to that, but yeah, no, it's a bunch of comedians going on Rogan so they can get clout and perform at the Cawmedy mothership. Dex. I haven't seen any. No, dude, I haven't. Like I go on there and I play the trailer and then I just go, I'm not watching this shit. Oh, God. I feel bad for Brendan Schaub, though, on some level. I know Brendan Schaub is a big, giant idiot who's probably got CTE, and, he's burned every bridge in entertainment. He's sued small YouTubers, been caught lying in court. His podcast now is so lame. Dude, what is it? Fighter and the Kid. Dude, the difference between Brendan Schaub and I is I know my podcast sucks. Dude, yeah, okay, so 37,000 views. But yeah, I don't get it. I don't get a lot of podcasts now. There's so many of them, I don't understand. I go, all right, so why I feel a little bit bad for Brendan Schaub is you had two guys that have been around comedy forever. What's his name? Brian Callen and Joe Rogan. And they were telling him he's the best thing since sliced bread. And the dude he talks about his work ethic. He had zero work ethic to come up with those jokes. And just so everybody knows, do I think I could put out a special funnier than Rogan's or Schaub's? Yes, I do. I believe that I could, right? And I don't think I'm a particularly good open micer even. I've seen some guys where I'm like, wow, that dude is hilarious. And he'll probably never make it. Nobody will ever know about this guy. And he's funnier than a lot of the pros. There are absolute murderers out there that you don't even know exist. They just go on the road. They're not really on social media. But yeah, Schaub thought he was going to be as big as Rogan. And then his world just kind of fell apart. Joe won't let him perform at the comedy mothership now. But they're all scumbags, or a large portion of them are. Brian Callen is a 59-year-old man that acts like a fucking teenage boy. None of these guys have ever had a real job. But I'll go easy on Callen because he does sometimes play the voice of reason. Yeah, I could see that. I could see Ari having a pretty good special. I'll take that one. Didn't watch it, but again, he had, all right, let's just say Ari Shafir's special was really good. Okay. Again, I go to before that, when was the last time you saw a really good special? You don't. You know, it's, again, I don't know if it's Netflix trying to push the narrative, and that's how a lot of these people get on, which Netflix is massively overvalued, and again, I think Netflix's time in the sun is coming to an end with their freaking pedo show that they had on there. What was it? Cuties? Yeah. Yep, he did. It's sad, man. A lot of these women out there, these activist women, they slowly destroy and devour their husband's soul. Like Bill Burr, at some point in the future, will still be married to that woman, but you're just going to see the look in his eyes of a soul that has just been sucked out by years of living with that succubus. Oh, Norm Macdonald, dude. Now that's a comedian. That dude is one of the funniest comedians of all time. And I think he would have destroyed these guys for, what they're doing. Like just being out all in the media, shitting on their fans, being the virtuous ones. Then they go to Saudi Arabia where they have Filipino slaves. I'm just a clerk right now. But, is what it is. No, dude, you don't have to be sorry about it. I don't think Bill Burr's funny anymore either. Oh, dude. And then, yeah. Well, again, Giga Todd Howard. I love it. I love that. Giga Todd Howard. But Giga Chad Todd Howard. But Emma Watson, again, it's another example of a celebrity that wasn't smart enough to see the second and third order effects. And again, we're told all the time, these are our betters. These are the people that we need to look up to as a society. Again, does anybody actually want to be around these people? I'm just telling you. In the stand-up scene, it's all backstabbing. Emma Watson has, we'll go with it, even though it's probably not accurate. Emma Watson, net worth. She becomes a millionaire while she's a teenager. Emma Watson. She's a very attractive woman. I will say that. Not interested. Fuck off. Okay. So she's estimated to be worth around $85 million. I don't know how accurate that is. But let's just go with $20 million. She's worth at least $20 million. We could probably all say that, unless she engaged in reckless spending. How are you going to turn around and go after the person that put you in their story that made you a millionaire? Meaning you never have to work a job again. You don't want, after the Harry Potter series, Emma Watson could have just said, I'm going to go become an activist. Or, I'm just going to do indie pictures from now on because that's what I like doing and I don't have to do it for the money. Instead, she attacks the person that made her a millionaire. Why would you want to be around any of those people? It's just that simple. I was looking at this article on the Daily Mail, and it was about the Paris Fashion Expo or whatever you call it. I don't know. It's the place where you have to walk in and pretend to be friends with Amy Winehouse. I don't even know who the fuck this woman is. why she's important or why I would even give a shit about her opinions on anything. I walk into her office, Devil Wears Prada. I walk into her office and she's like, how dare you walk in here with combat boots, jeans, and a t-shirt? It's like, what? Why do I care about your opinion, Amy Winetour? What? This is a problem with the modern world. People are famous for not doing anything. But yeah, I wouldn't want to be around these people. You got to be a part of the hive mind or they ostracize you. AI will decimate. Oh, yeah, that was one I didn't exactly think about. Yeah, dude, porn's done. You'll be able to go in there. You'll be like, hey, let me get like a dude with like a giant hog banging a grandma. And you'll be able to, dude, you'll be able to just, you know, whatever it is you're beating it to, whatever disgusting crap, you know, you're rubbing one out to. Yeah, but here's the thing. Porn was actually devastated or decimated, however you want to put it, was actually devastated by streaming. Streaming basically destroyed the porn industry. But yeah, like OnlyFans, where all those thoughts go on there, and they charge men, whatever it is, $30 a month, so that they can post foot porn or whatever. Yeah, that's going to get destroyed. And I'm happy for it. I don't want to see that Cash Me Outside girl started an OnlyFans, and now she's worth a ridiculous sum of money. Facts that are incapable of understanding that nobody sincerely cares about them. Yeah, no, I would agree with that too. So, like, here's me. Let's just say I'm a celebrity, right? I'm out there. I'm putting out a movie. I get asked about something in politics. Now, let's just go with, it's a subject that I know a lot about, right? Whatever that subject is. I'm not good, like, I'm trying to sell a product. I'm going to look at the reporter and go, yeah, ma'am, sir, whoever it is. I'd be like, look, if you want to go to the bar after this and have a private conversation, let's say they ask me a political question. Even if I know a lot about the subject, whatever. I voted for Donald Trump. It is what it is. But let's just say that I'm up there pushing my movie and I get asked a question. Donald Trump, whatever it is. Even though I support Donald Trump. I'm going to look at the person and go, sir, ma'am, I'd be like, I'm more than willing to go have a political discussion with you off camera. But right now, what this interview is about is my movie. And I would really like to just talk about the movie, hype fans up. Politics is a divisive issue. I make movies for everybody who wants to come see them. I just try to make good movies. And I'd be like, yeah, so the political questions, I'm not going to answer that. You know, that would be my response. But again, Sam here, he's pointing out a very legitimate thing. And that, how can, you guys are a business and you're trying to castigate and lecture one half of the populace. What do you think is going to happen? Because leftoids don't have money. Some people just, yeah, that's the political science degree. Well, of what use is a political science degree? No offense if you have one. Maybe then you could explain it to me in the comments. Yeah, in X studies. Yeah. Studies or science at the end of it. No, Jay, sometimes some of the science, or management. Management is another one that they throw on the end. I wonder what a person would say. Probably that they have a doctorate degree in philosophy. Now, I'm going to say this. Philosophy is probably way more useful for understanding political systems than political science is. Because again, all of this crap gets hijacked by leftoids that use pedantic speech. That's really what... I don't know what... I should use probably Marxists at the university level so that, you know, people who are like, hey, I'm a centrist liberal. This dude seems to hate me. No, I don't hate you. I just hate the really extremists. I hate really extreme right-wing views, too, to the point where it becomes absurd, where it's like, yeah, well, we don't even need a government. And I just, yeah, dude, we need a government. Although I like limited government, we still need a government. Nah, bro, don't need a government. Just, you know, everything, live off the land and, you know, be self-sufficient. And I'm like, self-sufficient just means you're not depending on... All right. But yeah, I can't deal with those people either. But yeah, for lack of a better term, the leftists will hijack political science or whatever it is and turn it all into just left-leaning crap. AI is a massive... Internet change. AI will only make modifications to life, that's all. It's task-based, not... Yeah, no. That one, I've tried to explain to numerous people that it's really just a large language model. It's not artificial general intelligence. But yeah, you're right. The AI is a massive bubble, even if you look at it. I think the estimates that are coming out from certain people is that it'll generate 20 billion a year. So you're going to spend trillions for 20 billion. It's the dumbest thing I've ever heard. I'll get wealthy, probably repeat of the roaring 20s. Yep. Yeah, no, I agree. Like Cash Me Outside Girl. You know, you hear a Marxist go, do you think it's fair that Jeff Bezos has X number of dollars while other people don't? We're like, well, it's probably more fair than the Cash Me Outside Girl and whatever she's worth. It's a Cash Me Outside Girl worth. Cash Me Outside Girl net worth. This bitch is worth $75 million from OnlyFans. Yeah, that's, to me, it is what it is. Let the market do what it does. But if anything's not fair, it's that Cash Me Outside Girl is worth $75 million or however much it is. What's up, Patriots? Bro, we're nearing the end. Yield curve inverted in August of last year. Average bull market length is 5.6 years. Wall Street's unwinding their levered positions. It's just going to take time, but I think we're going to start to begin to see it. End of November, the beginning of 2026, but who knows? You can't predict these things. Women evolved to take care of children. Female octopus. Yeah, but again, it's the blank slate. It's Leviathan. Hobbes' Leviathan. It's the Rousseau social contract. It's all of that. Man is a blank slate. Man is not a blank slate. I mean, I believe you could take a child from Africa, raise it in America, and it'll be as American as the next person, and vice versa. But a lot of this mechanistic worldview just views people as like interchangeable, and they're not. They view things like evolutionary drive as something that's not really real for humans when it actually is. You know, Raising children is hardwired into the female DNA. And men and women can talk themselves out of certain things, but nature's still there. Saw a clone on it pushing leverage 2x growth as an investment. Yeah, he probably doesn't realize that when you're levered up, you have 2 times the fall. It's an easy way to go bankrupt. Yeah, dude, and there's nothing wrong with that approach. You know what I mean? Like, part of my portfolio is in cash and T-bills. Another part of it is still in the market, and I'm just DCA. So it's like, you know what I mean? Dollar cost average. And that's one of the reasons why I push on this channel, understanding about intrinsic value, is because if you don't understand intrinsic value, you wake up one day and your portfolio's cut in half, you're panicking. But I understand that the market's massively overvalued. So if my portfolio one day is cut in half, I'm actually not sweating it. I knew it the whole time. Don't throw money at over. Yeah. My HSA, VT, 20%, World Bond, REIT, and yeah, nothing wrong with that. It's spread out. I mean, in all honesty, you could just go like 80% VT, 20% the bond one. Because, I mean, you own the REITs, you own those gold miners within VT. But as long as, if you're like, yeah, I'm just going to dollar cost average, regardless of what the market's doing, it's going to outperform the vast majority of people just doing that. Well, look at the log trend from that. We're hitting it, resistance. Yeah, that, and again, the parallels are there with 1929, massive leverage within the system. But we're actually more overvalued now than we were in 1929. So everybody is aware of that. I like that. That's a great approach. Sideline some cash, DCA, massive market downturn, just throw that money in there. Like it. Oh, yeah. And Howard Marks is a guy who Warren Buffett often talks about. And, I mean, yeah, he says these valuations make him incredibly uneasy. But what he's really saying is, yeah, this market is massively overvalued. Gold going up. Yep. The CP lie. I like that too. Yeah, the CP lie. Dude, if you go and look, I wonder what inflation rate between 2000 and 2025. Yeah, they're telling you the dollar had an average inflation rate of 2.56. They're 1.88 times as high as they were in 2000. Yeah, I don't know if I believe that. I think they're up more than that. I think the inflation rate is generally double whatever they're telling you. Yes, I am. I took massive profits in my thrift savings account at work. So I have a bunch of cash just sitting in the cash fund there. But I never changed my actual investments. So I'm still dollar cost averaging into my index funds. I just took basically my whole portfolio in July and moved it over to cash. But right now, since July, I'm still going in there and buying the S&P 500 because I don't have VT in there. in my Roth IRA, I'm moving a bunch of money into the 10-year treasury, but in my actual brokerage account, I'm just leaving that alone because I don't want to pay taxes on it. So I'm like, whatever, I'll just let it drop. I don't care. It's not, yeah, the bigger they pump it, the uglier the sudden drop. I don't think it's going to be a sudden drop. I think you're going to see it revert 10 to 20%, and then I think it's going to be a slow deflation. People think a lot of times that these massive crashes happen overnight, but a lot of times it's a crash, then it goes back up, and then it slowly deflates. Yeah, no, I'm still in there. I'm still dollar cost averaging. I just took money out of it, and it's sitting on the side. Like, I can see why a quality company like this trades at a premium, but... Well, Microsoft shouldn't trade at a premium either. Microsoft is only going to grow at this point. I'm sure if we look at stock analysis real quick. Let me just look up something here. Microsoft. Alright. Here's my StreamYard. Let's add this to the stage. Okay. Alright. $3.85 billion market cap. So, market cap, and you have, so that dog, and then let's look at the income statement. I mean, it's jumping pretty good, but it's one of the biggest companies in the world. There is no reason why this company should be trading at an operating cash flow of 28. And that makes sense with what we saw with the assets. Your price to free cash flow is 53. This company is not going to grow that fast. It's just too big. Bigger a company becomes, the harder it is to grow. Which is why I don't understand everybody's fucking boner for tech. You look at it and you're like, dude, it's played out. Companies will only grow so fast. And they will fall to their assets. When... Yep. Yeah, that, and they injected a massive amount of money into the system. If you look at money supply chart. See right here? Did I put this up on screen? I didn't. Here, let me show you. This is why you experienced massive inflation. This straight up in the M2 money supply, like you've never really seen that. Okay, so the money supply shoots up. It's where a lot of your inflation is. And then this is a pretty steep angle here. It started dropping. Your M2 money supply started dropping here. And that's why we were experiencing the markets dipping. But then they started increasing the money supply again. So you're at 22.1 trillion. Okay, and the difference between your M2 money supply and your GDP, that's going to be the deficit. But there you go. I mean, so they started increasing it, and like you said, they started bringing AI hype in to keep the markets from crashing. They artificially propping them up. And eventually, dude, things can only be fake for so long. And then reality will set in, no matter what you do. All right, brother. Have a good night, man. Thanks for watching. Shaba on food. It's embarrassing. Dude dresses like a frat boy, fluffs all of his guests constantly, and makes every talking point about himself. Yeah. No, on some level, I feel bad for Shab because he's not terribly bright. And the people around him, I can't believe nobody pulled him aside and said, hey, man, you got to start working on your jokes. But again, I would put this out there. Shab's 2 specials are awful, but they're really not that much worse than anybody else's special out there, like Whitney Cummings, who would make fun of Brendan Schaub. So, hey guys, give me a second. I'll be back. Finish up these comments. Give me 1 minute. All right, sorry about that. I had to take a wicked piss. But yeah. No, dude. Yeah, Shab he's a narcissist, but he's typical out there in Hollywood, being around those people of QE. Yeah, I mean, that was originally started in Japan, but... Oh, dude. Well... You're running up against demographics crisis. Look, the biggest threat we have, obviously outside of nuclear war, all that shit, but, and also, Gil, I think they just elected a hard right Iron Lady over there. Japan elections. Yeah, the Japanese are pretty homogenous. So, from what I read, I could be wrong. I'm not that up on it. But this lady's pretty right-wing. Yeah, I mean... Now, I don't think the Japanese are going to go for it. Yeah, but, again... Steph Curry did... Yeah, that's I would just get rid of that woman. There's some woman, if my woman went out there and go, yeah, I regret being with this dude, I'd be like, all right, go find somebody else. Why? She'd get half of his stuff, like, oh, I gave up my career. Well, you don't have to do anything. Give me millions of dollars. Yeah. Yeah. And, there's something to be said for that. I think Emma Watson is just not terribly bright, and I think is what it is. I think she's a European socialist person. Again, how dumb do you have to be to go out there and drag the person that made you a millionaire? Other people see that and they don't want you in their movies. It's just a stupid decision. Has anyone kept track of Lafufu? No, I don't think they have, but they can't be good. And all these guys, man, they actually hide their real returns. And that convinces the fans. it is what it is. I mean, I don't care. People are just going to have to learn. And I'm sure there's a bunch of people that after the initial euphoric rush of, whatever money that they thought they were making is gone, are sitting there going, yeah, I should have never listened to this grifter. Just stick with index funds and, you got into a crazy market. My main G just got here. Oh, dude. I didn't know that he did that. It's one of the reasons why I like Trump is that he's funny. Judge goes, you can't do that. He goes, okay, we'll bring in these guys. That's great. Yep, we do. As an Oregonian and fellow man from I love it. Trump's weak mayor and nonstop Dem government won't do shit around here. Bro, I don't know how you guys do it. I heard Portland was great before you got the influx of these lefties and these terrorists. I worked with a dude who's from like the Portland area, and he's an older guy, mid-50s, but he talks about how Californians came in there and just destroyed it. He goes, it was just awful. But yeah, I mean, the populace might have to get together. I mean, I'm not saying use violence, but you can make it basically impossible for them to operate. It is what it is. Yeah. Well, it's tough. I think some of it, I think a lot of actors lean that way. Okay? Because, I mean, it's just the performing arts. There's a lot of liberalism in it. Nothing wrong with it. Nothing wrong with that. It's when you start trying to enforce that ideology on other people. But you get out there and basically you're dependent on other people to get you roles. Most of these people don't have a skill. If I was a young kid, and I wanted to be an actor, what I would do is I would get myself a skilled trade before I even went out there. I'd go to college or I'd go to a trade school. If I was in college, I'd do theater, get training. If I'm going to college for something, I'm either going to be like an engineer or an accountant, something where I can pay my bills independent of the system. But most of those actors aren't that way. Most of those actors have zero skills. They go out there, rampant narcissism, rampant insecurity out there. Because you're like, oh, well, maybe if I was a little bit better looking, I would have got the role. Maybe I should go in and get a nose job and that'll help me get the role. I'll look at it as an investment, in myself. And I don't know. I wouldn't want to live there. Sure, it's great weather. I'm sure it's kind of fun, but I wouldn't want to live there. Best modern day, Nick Fuentes. Oh, dude, I've listened to Nick Fuentes. Nick Fuentes is hilarious. I've laughed really hard at some of the shit that he's saying. I have to do, starting next week, I need to do a little bit more effort on my live streams. I got to start writing a little bit because I just come on here and I do it stream of consciousness. And I'm like, well, I could take up the ridiculousness of this thing a little bit more. But yeah, Nick Fuentes, funny dude. Yeah, of course he does. Yeah, Hassan Piker. It's like the son of a billionaire or millionaire or something like that. And his uncle Cenk got him started. It's pretty much champagne socialism. It's what it is. Oh, well, I shouldn't lose my shit. Yep, pretty much. He doesn't want socialism. That's how he pays his... That's how he gets richer. Pretending to be a socialist from his $30 million mansion. AOC is the same thing, pretending to be a socialist while she takes billionaires' money. You know, she's never going to give up anything. They just think your things don't actually have value. Their stuff is valuable, not your stuff. Oh. What? Yeah, I saw something like that. Yeah. Is that Bonnie Blue? Is that who that was? Bonnie Blue does 1,000 dudes in a day. Like, some of these people, I don't even know how they're famous on YouTube or TikTok or whatever. And another dilute. Yep, pretty much. Personally, I don't care. Chelsea Handler, all of those people, like if I'm calling them cat ladies, I don't care what they say to me. Their opinion means nothing anyways. Yep. Darwin, Uber allies. Yeah, the blank slate thing, it is what it is. I think, you know, people adapt to culture, but yeah. And I tracked stocks to buy series, and we gave him his time frame. Jeremy had an average 3.62 gain, 9.9 in the S&P, did 15 and 7. Yep. That doesn't surprise me. I think if Jeremy was, look, I'm going to say this. There's no way Jeremy has an actually positive portfolio from all the companies that went bankrupt. He got destroyed on GoPro before he really started taking off. So he was down a ridiculous sum of money then. I don't see any way that dude's portfolio is actually positive. Yeah, but that's going off of probably what he's saying, and it's still even pathetic there. Paul's stupid. Don't listen to him. I don't hate everything money, but I don't think everything money is the worst thing out there. But I just think Paul vastly overestimates his knowledge pool. I don't think Paul seems to think he's a genius. I don't think that guy is any smarter than the average person. And no, I don't think he's dumb. I think Jeremy's dumb. I don't think Meet Kevin is actually a dumb guy. I think Jeremy is a moron. Same with Stockmo. Same with Stealth Wealth Guy. Same with a lot of these. I don't think Tom Nash is a dumb guy, though, either. So some of the guys that are in this space, I don't think are dumb. Jeremy, I actually don't think is the dumbest. I think Stockmo is the dumbest, but we can't actually give them a test, so I'm never going to know. Well, bro, Gil, it's because they don't know what they're talking about. And this is what is amazing about this. Since I started doing my YouTube channel 5 years ago, my knowledge base has improved quite a bit. Remembered stuff I forgot, learned new stuff. And it amazes me that none of these guys have evolved. You know, a Meat could go on there and go, yeah, Palantir's a great company, but I think, you know, I'm looking at the numbers, and I think it's just, there's a overvaluation here I'm getting out of it. But then again, I don't know if that would destroy his GriftTube channel. So, it is what it is, but none of these guys seem to advance any of their knowledge. And it's actually amazing to me. Invested at 100 VS, okay, currently. Yup, that's what I'm about to do. I don't have as much money as you do. I can just admit that. But yeah, that's where I'm going to the 10-year treasury, and I'm throwing it into index fund, and I'll wait and just as the market is going down, I'll probably, within my brokerage account, I'm not going to do anything. Within my actual Roth IRA, because I can move into the 10-year Treasury mutual fund, if that's what they want to call it. Well, that's what it is called, but I'll move in there and I'll sit. If I have to wait 2 years and I'm getting just if I'm getting 4.2%, I don't give a shit. I'll let that money sit in there, even if it takes 5 years for the air to come out of the market, because at least I'm getting a positive return. No. Did he really? Hedge funds are stupid. And I'll tell you why. It's because they take 20% of the profits. So even if you can beat the market, which I don't have a whole lot of confidence, most people can, even the people in this space, can consistently beat the market over 20 or 30 years. It is what it is, but I think it's hubris, personally. Maybe he will, I hope he does, but I think hedge funds are dumb. 270K invested in VOO, 35 in QQ, 20% in Nike, praying for a reschedule. Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't keep 20% in any individual stock, but that's me. I might be more risk averse than you, but I don't want any stock more than 5% of my portfolio. So if I felt it was becoming overvalued, I'd start selling it off. If I think it's a great company and it's undervalued, I'd start adding to it. But that's me. 20% in an individual stock is just, for me. I'm not saying you're doing anything wrong. That's just too much for me. It's like, I won't probably start a position that compromises more than 2%. And if it grows past 5%, I'm going to start taking profits, but nothing wrong with what you're doing. Most of your money's safe. Japan Nikkei surge at 225. Okay, I was wrong. I thought she was a righty. If she's a liberal, Japan's done. They're going to flood people in there. Yeah, I didn't look into that too much, so I might need to be corrected there. I'll go and look more into it. Being a Chuddite or just a shill. Dude, Japan, Chinese. Yeah, Johnny Somalia. Yeah, pretty much. Japan, as one country, I want to see them keep their cultural heritage. I went through a series of stocks. He said to buy, track, price, analyze. Yeah, and then there you go, man. You were better off just buying an index fund like we were all saying on our channels the whole time. Why? Just put 90 or 95% of your money, my opinion, 90 to 95% of your, and if you're going to buy gold, I think you should buy physical gold or silver. I started buying silver $50. I just throw them in my fireproof safe. If there's a market correction and gold goes down, I'm going to start adding gold bullion and throwing it in my safe. But my opinion on it is, look, just simplify things. If only 5 to 10% of your portfolio is in individual stocks, I'm not worried if one tanks. But, everybody's like, I'm going to outperform the market. Why? It even included gaining. Yep, that's why. Okay, that's why he's positive, is his Palantir gains. But that'll be erased soon. Jay, what's your target? There's no real target. I'm in a good position where, I get my VA stuff and then I'll have a pension. Plus, I'm not really materialistic, so I don't live off of... I try to live below my means. But I also plan on, at the bare minimum, just even having a part-time job, even when I'm in my 70s. I'll find something low stress. To be honest with you, the vast majority of the money in my retirement accounts, I will probably never enjoy, and it'll probably be enjoyed by my nieces and my nephew. I'm just giving you the realism. Because if I paid off my house now, I wouldn't even have to work with where I am. But once I decide to pull the trigger on retirement from the government, well, see what I'm going to do. I mean, in fact, in 10 years, I'll be 57. If I decide to, I could retire then and just go do something different. But I like having a job. People can get mad at me for that, but I plan on working part-time at least till I can. And whatever my monetary situation is, my monetary situation is. If I have $5 million in retirement through, the Lord's grace and good luck, even if I did that, I might just start a dog grooming company or something. Just go around, wash some dogs. Maybe I'll go volunteer at a pound, walk dogs. I'll do something, whether it's volunteering or just part-time work. So, I mean, that's my plan. And I don't really have a stressful job now. So, it is what it is, man. I think everybody's like racing to this retirement where they're not going to do anything. And my thing is, all right, if that's what you want to do, but I still want to have something to do part-time that I have to do. So, we'll see. I mean, as long as I'm in good health, that's my plan. But we'll see how that works out. If I don't live that long. Yeah, that's not a good sign either. Playing it safe. If I was starting a hedge fund right now, I'd just be buying nothing but T-bills. That's me. 20% was 10%. 70. Okay. All right. Yeah. Even 10%'s not too much, I don't think. For me, maybe it's too much. Again, probably 5%, but it is what it is. Everybody's got the... I just happen to be probably more risk averse. That's it. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that. Just because I wouldn't do something doesn't mean it's right or wrong. The far right do-it-yourself party won the Japanese upper house, which is symbolic. Okay. I just hope Japan doesn't go down the same multiculturalist bullshit that the West has gone down, but they've already kind of had that a little bit. Retire early with me. He retired at 54, lives in a small... Yeah, I'll check it out. I mean, again, I don't plan on quitting working, but I'm glad that guy retired if that's what he wants to do. The money, though. Good. I'm just going over to T-bills, man. I'm not doing anything other than that. Oh, my God. It's Gondor. See, this is the best advice I've seen all day. 100% yield max. That's going to make so many people, so much money. Like passive income investing guy that they still watch. But, all right, guys. I'm going to do this last comment. Losing my voice like I always do. Going to get ready to go to bed. Got to eat a couple special gummies, I guess. Get ready for the evening's sleep. But I want to thank everybody for tuning in. Thanks for letting me rant and rave. Try to make it somewhat humorous. Don't always succeed. But I just want to thank everybody that tuned in. And I hope you guys have a great week and caught up to the comments. All right. Wasn't that good. I was just ranting. But, hey guys, I hope you all have a good week. And thanks for watching. I try to appreciate your time. Hope everybody's doing well. And get ready. I think it's coming sometime soon. Although I've been saying that for too long. So, have a great week, guys. And I'll see you next Sunday.